October 11, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using the NinjaTrader 8 platform. This is how I saw the charts today. I have it marked up. It looks pretty messy, but I'll go through it and it should hopefully clear things up. There's only two pieces of economic data that came out today, which was the core PPI that came out around 5:30. Didn't seem to really move the markets all that much. And then also the FOMC meetings at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard, which is about right here. Could be argued that maybe it caused this rally. I'm not so convinced about that. You can look down at the descriptions below to see where I took my trades as well as where I saw setups. I took a total of 4 trades today. I won on 3 and lost on 1. I'm not too particularly proud of any of these trades in actuality because in the real time I took it and I thought they were good trades. But in hindsight, when I look back on it, they really weren't very good trades. So I'm going to get to them today. There wasn't that many clean setups that I could find. And so when I took the trades, certainly they weren't clean setups, as you're going to see. This is a pre-market. I don't trade the pre-market, but I did think prices were kind of falling into this big orange channel. It had these swings up and down. And then this is right where the market opens, where it goes from gray to white. The first setup I saw was right here. Clearly makes a new high. This is the pre-market highs. It made a new high, so first entry long. Second entry long is potentially setting up. So now you have a confirmed, well, you don't have a confirmed second entry long, but you have a signal bar here. Now this is a good signal bar. It bounced off the EMA. What I don't really like about this particular trade or getting it set up ready is it's near the top of the pre-market, which could act as a resistance. So there's also not enough room to confidently scalp out, even though the EMA is kind of holding. But as you can see, price action is chopping through the EMA, so it's not really something to use as a key entry point yet. As you can see, it would have worked this trade, but I'm glad still that I didn't take it because I wasn't confident that it would, because this red bar could have easily appeared right here where this green bar is. And prices continue chopping around. See a first entry long, second entry long. This is a good signal bar, but when you see this in real time, it just looks a little iffy. Prices then look like they're in this blue trading range, and it finally breaks out and sells off. You have a first entry long, and then technically you have a second entry long, but it feels too far from the EMA. It's a little hard to tell what's going on for me. Signal bar wasn't that convincing. Falls and continues chopping around. Breaks out, comes back down. Right now I do see potentially one leg here. It's about right here, and I drew potential second leg right there. Prices then continue, and I think there's a potential channel here. I just drew the top trend line here and try to match it at the bottom. There's a little bit of play that I did to see if I could get things to match up. Overall, it's kind of noisy. This is very congested. Well, it's not congested. It's just a little bit hard for me to really tell what's going on. It's only a 4-point range. So I'm just kind of sitting on my hands right now. This is actually the first trade that I take. I see a new low here. It's a first entry short, pulls back, creates a second entry short. And on this candle, it creates this failure. As soon as it broke above and created this failure, this is the trade that I jumped on. And I thought, okay, it's going to move up higher. Now, what I failed to consider, what I don't like about this entry in hindsight, is I didn't consider the possible range that I'm in, because even though it ends up being here, it was actually slightly lower here. And to take an entry here, there's not enough room to get a clean scalp. And it's also, if I did believe that this is the yellow channel coming down, even though I broke out, there's a chance that I could come back in to test the lows here. It was going sideways, so easily could see another push down to the lows. So I took this trade here, one tick above, and it goes up and then flashes down and takes me out one tick below. So it's a 2-point loss. I should have thought better of this because it wasn't even a high confidence trade, even though it broke out, because this failed second entry short also formed below the EMA. Everything is telling you that things are kind of bearish right now. There's no reason really to take long. So I was red on that trade. Prices then continue moving. I do drag the trading range up to here. And I have a small breakout here, comes back, chops around. Technically, I have a first entry long, second entry long, but this is kind of middle of no man's land. Prices then continue moving down. It falls into this range and starts rallying up. You do have a first entry short, second entry short failure, but when you see this, nothing's really telling me to confidently take a long entry here. And of course, when this one forms, then it feels too late because you're already at the top of the range. Prices then continue moving up. I did notice it made one leg down, pull back, a second leg down, but this overall isn't very clean and very clear, but I did see this blue possible leg down here, all the way down to here, pulls up. And I'm thinking there might be a second leg, but I haven't drawn this one yet, this other part of the leg yet. Prices then continue. You go this, it looks like it's in this green channel, breaks out, makes a new high, comes back down, makes one attempt up, pulls back, and this is where I think I have a second entry long possible trade setting up. So here's first entry long, second entry long. It's bouncing off the EMA, and let's see, bouncing off the EMA. What I don't like about this is after the break of this green channel, already tested the high, so the uptrend feels like it's already played out. And so to take another push up, it looks like it failed, and then to believe that the EMA is stronger than what price action is telling you feels a little bit risky. So that's how come I don't think this is a worthwhile trade. Even though if you entered one right here, looks like you might have, well, it's hard to say you would have gotten a good trade out of it because it's just about 5 ticks. Then it would have came down, most likely taken me out if I took this trade. Prices then fall straight down. I don't have this yellow channel drawn yet. I see a new low here. It's a first entry short, pulls up, creates a second entry short. Now, the second entry short, I think, is a possible trade. EMA is holding prices down, but the EMA is just now coming into play because it didn't really hold prices down previously, and this is the first bounce and rejection. So right now, for a second entry short, this is the signal bar. It's a pretty bad signal bar, but then the trigger bar looks pretty good. And if I think if I wanted to take this trade, I would have put it one tick below this original signal bar. So like one tick below here, just to get a little bit less risk and hope that it rides all the way down to here. But this is the pre-market lows, but it's debatable if this pre-market low is valid because it could actually be where this blue line is. So it's hard to really know for sure. So I didn't really have a trade ready or have in mind to take a trade. Looks like it would have worked out. Comes up, and I do see a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long, and I also see a new low here, first entry short. This creates a second entry short. So when you have a first entry short here, pulls back, second entry short, the count resets. So starting from the new low here, it's first entry short, second entry short. This is a terrible signal bar for second entry short. And if you started from here as a new high, first entry long, second entry long, you technically haven't had a failed second entry long yet. And so when it flashes down, you do have a confirmed second entry short, but there's just conflicting ideas here. So, you know, you're trying to get an idea to go short. So you have a second entry short and a failed second entry long, but it just doesn't look as obvious to me that there's a good subsequent trade here. And also, even if you took this here and you have a confirmed second entry short, this trigger bar isn't very convincing either because there was a little bit of bullish rally to push it back up to here. If it closed more firmly down here, then you might think the trigger bar is worthwhile. There might be momentum coming down, but it was a little bit hard for me to see in real time. So I was just kind of jarbled in my head and I skipped it. Prices have continued down. As a matter of fact, even though it was jarbled here, I don't really think there was any real trade here. It just happened to be a second entry short and a failed second entry long that was forming right here. When prices continue moving, chops up, I do draw this yellow channel at this point, which is actually a yellow trend line, and I wasn't really sure of the bottom, so I kind of placed it here. It chops in this range. It's just an ugly range at this point. It makes one leg down, pulls up, comes back down, creates a second leg, but I don't see any clear entries. It's just chopping in this yellow channel coming down. You do technically have a visual first entry short, second entry short, two pushes up, and it failed, but I didn't see a good clean entry. You could claim there's a lower high here, but it closed slightly above the EMA, so it just felt risky. And prices can continue chopping. This is actually where I take my second trade of the day. I saw a new low here, first entry short. Also saw a new high here, first entry long. So technically, the first entry long, second entry long, and I actually saw this as a new low, first entry short, pulls up, breaks above, and on this candle comes back down. So it created a hidden second entry short here, and it failed. So at the time, I think since I lost my first trade, I thought, well, this is good enough setup for me. And as soon as it broke above and it danced around, I entered. I didn't wait for this to close. Otherwise, I would have taken the entry up here, or I would have waited for the next candle yet to print and take it down here. So in hindsight, this wasn't really a trade I should have taken. I should have pretty much skipped it because I didn't think I was thinking it's probably going to move back up to the top of the range. And at the time, the top of the range, I was playing with the idea it's actually a little bit lower. And I thought, okay, there might be enough room to quickly scalp out. And I was seeing this fail breakout, and I was thinking it's going to make a matching fail breakout here. But in hindsight, when you look at this, there was more reasons not to take this trade than to take this trade. If you drag it back up to here, touch the bottom, went to the top, touch the bottom, went to the top. So there's more reason for it to come back down, touch the bottom. So it'd be coming back down. Even though you're thinking it's going to test the high, made one attempt, this could be the second attempt and it could fail. So all these, in hindsight, was kind of all these signals are saying this is very garbled and I should have just pretty much skipped this trade. On top of that, I failed to see that this yellow channel coming down is potentially hitting it as resistance. So there's another reason that it shouldn't be taking as a long setup. I was able to scalp out and I was lucky on this trade. So this trade number 2, I believe was like, it was just pretty much pure dumb luck that I shouldn't have taken the trade anyways. Comes up, touches the top and comes back down now, breaks through. Things are chopping around. EMA is kind of coming into play. Goes into this ugly consolidation area, breaks out, comes up, re-enters this trading range. And I do see a new low here. This is technically a first entry short, then a second entry short, but I saw this as one leg. So first entry short, pulls back, creates a second entry short right here. On top of that, it broke out of this green channel. It attempted to make a new high, but I thought there was enough momentum to try to really hit this new high. So when it came back down, it made it halfway. On this next candle, I thought this was a good enough bounce so that I entered right here, and I knew technically the high is here, but I wanted to get out before the bodies because this is pretty much where the opens and closes were. And I just wanted to make sure I got out in time. So this is the trade that I took. And again, it's like a good signal bar for second entry short failure. So it's first entry long, second entry long failure. Excuse me. Let me restate that. First entry short, second entry short failure. Depending on how you do the count, technically there's only a first entry long, but if you count it from here, it'd be a first entry long, pull back, second entry long. But I don't like doing that, so this is technically only a first entry long. But I saw this and I thought there was enough momentum to try to hit the tops again. I took that entry and it was profitable, but I thought there was enough momentum, but in hindsight, again, this is probably a higher risk trade that I think I was just not in tune today, but I was getting trades out of dumb luck. And then there is a higher low here. So if you did the count from here, it's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long, comes back down, it creates a higher low here. It's a good signal bar for the higher low. The unfortunate thing is there's not enough room to scalp out before you hit this clear resistance that's happening. Even though the momentum's strong, it just makes me a little bit nervous that the highs here could act as resistance, as well as maybe the potential high here. Turns out it would have worked out for a quick scalp, and then if you did hold on to it, you would have probably gotten a decent runner. This trend line going up, I drew this as a potential bottom trend line, and I put this as the top, and I saw this as an overshoot, so it made me cautious in taking any second entry longs because there might be an overshoot on this side. Pops around, it doesn't come back to about here, then it bounces. I saw a failed second entry short here. It's a new low. The first entry short, second entry short. Technically, it hasn't failed yet. Here, it hasn't failed yet. Finally, it fails here. But the failed second entry short with the EMA holding is bouncing off the bottom of this red channel and the EMA. What gave me concern was if I want to take this trade, I have to enter way down here. Definitely, you don't want to take it up here because you're going to run into this potential resistance. That made me think I should just wait to see if there's a higher low confirmation. Prices then come back down. It creates this higher low, and as it broke up above, I like that it touched the EMA. Well, it didn't touch the EMA. I like that it touched the bottom of this channel again. So I was pretty confident this trend channel is holding pretty well. The top is debatable, but it clearly shows that there's some kind of support here. So that's why I entered. It actually flashed up, bounced around. I quickly entered. I was able to get filled, and I wanted to scalp out right before it hit the top. And I was. It pretty much scalped out right here, and it made it before it hit the top here. But that was just good enough for my quick 1-point trade. So I entered on the engulfing. To wait for this to close, I would have lost my nerve because to take it one tick above, you're very much likely buying at the high, even though it's making higher lows every time. And I really wasn't sure there was a trading range here at this point. Whether it is a trading range or not, I just knew there's potential resistance here with highs where I was able to scalp out. Had I held longer for more points, I likely would have gotten stopped on this candle. And then, of course, prices then go to where you thought it was going to go. Prices then continue. It's kind of the EMA is getting a little jarbled because prices are above and below it now. It breaks out and it continues up on this green channel now. It is getting a little bit late in the day. So I was kind of just looking back, pretty relieved that these four junky trades worked out in my favor. And I do realize in hindsight, they weren't the best setups, and I should have most likely skipped it. And today might have been a no trade day. I think the ones that worked out was kind of out of dumb luck. I need to be careful of that because you can't just trade off of dumb luck. We did have a new high here, first entry long, second entry long, but this is very close to the end of the day. And so there's no real trades to take because you don't want to trade in the last 10 minutes. And then the market goes into the close. So what I saw today was rather, well, rather interesting. There wasn't that many clean setups, and I feel there was a few trades in here that I forced, and it just happened to work in my favor. So I need to be very, very careful of doing that because although it worked out this time, there's a good possibility it would not work out again the second time. So hopefully that was helpful.